he's making fun of the child, then I feel very uncomfortable. And before I get a chance to even open my mouth, my sister is standing in the back and with the head of security of the university. Can you build a department for me?
Hi, you're listening to Everything is Personal by Fortis. I'm Victoria Belausova, Chief HR Officer. Here I talk to successful professionals from tech companies. I want to find out what they did to build a career in Dubai. And I want to find out at what point everything went right. From game-changing decisions to lucky breaks, when cover, what made it all work. This podcast is proudly presented by Fortis Digital Solutions, a company that bridges the gap between businesses and their digital-savvy customers. We help businesses thrive in the digital world, turning their dreams into reality. Today, my guest is Toqa. She's the Digital Marketing Manager in our team, Fortis. Hi, Toqa.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Okay, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you feeling? Is it your first interview?
It is my first experience podcasting, but I graduated from film production. I'm usually on the other side of this table.
I see. Let's start from the family because we all start from family.
Yeah.
So could you please tell me about your family background?
I was born and raised in Dubai, originally Egyptian. I went to school here. My mother went to school here. My grandpa was one of the first businessmen in the country before there was oil or gas or anything. He was a banker. He worked in founding or establishing Emirates Bank. It wasn't Emirates Islamic then. Emirates Bank. And my grandma was also working in that bank. So I guess my family from very, very early ages were very business-oriented people.
Do you think that it has some influence on you because you grew up in the environment, in business-oriented environment?
So from a very early age, from I think when we were very little, we understood some of the business orientation. So for example, my mother and my grandpa would have this conversations about money and then what money comes from, because also my grandpa had his own business. So my mother would open the drawer, take a little bit of cash and leave. And then my grandpa would see my sister doing that next day and he would go like, no, this is not our money. Our money is from my pocket. You take from my pocket, cannot touch the drawer. From the roots, but indirectly, you did not know that these were the things that were going to shape your morals, or they will shape how you will take things with you and how you will carry these things with you. So you understand how to spend money, you understand how to make money, and you understand that how to keep the money bringing in more money.
Oh, it's nice. You're lucky that you had this experience, from the very childhood.
Now we know we're lucky, but when we were kids, we didn't understand. When we were young, we didn't understand, but now we know. And by kids, I don't mean like 15, 16. I mean also like at your early 20s, you didn't really appreciate or understand that.
Toqa, when you was a child, did you think that you will be the businesswoman also?
Businesswoman as in like starting my own business wasn't really the main goal. I feel like the whole bringing up was you're strong, you have to be independent, you need to structure yourself in a specific way, whether you have a business or not.
I'm asking because, for example, when your parents are doctors, some children, they don't want to be the doctors. And what about you?
No, I did not think about being a banker whatsoever at all, actually. But what I was very confident I was going to do was psychology.
Oh, really?
Yes, I wanted to do psychology, and it was my only plan from, let's say, 6th grade up until when I discovered I'm not supposed to do psychology. And how that happened was in my 12th grade. It's my only plan. Psychology is my only plan. So In my 12th grade, my mother was a teacher in the school in front of us. And during exam times, students leave early, teachers can't. So my mom was stuck in school, and so I would have to walk to her. So I go over and I'm waiting for her so that we can eventually go back home. And there was this very cute little boy, super tiny, very chubby, so cheekful. And he wanted to go home and his mother was late. So he goes to the section supervisor and the section supervisor is mocking him. He's making fun of him. And the kid doesn't know that he's being mocked. But I stand there and I'm the adult. I know that he's making fun of the child and I feel very uncomfortable and I bawl my eyes out. I cry. And then I go to my mother. I'm like, the section supervisor shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. And then she goes and tells my dad, and it was a whole scene. My dad was like, maybe we should find out if you can do psychology or not, because the major I wanted to specialize in was child and crime.
Ah, really?
So
child and crime.
Child and crime. And I bawled my eyes out because a child was being bullied by another. So my dad's like,
and why crime?
Why crime?
Yeah.
They were going to be two separate things. So I wanted to understand why people make certain decisions that are not only harmful for the other person, also harmful for themselves. That was the darker side.
Darker side. Okay. You are not psychologist right now, as far as I know. So what was your next step?
Psychology failed miserably, and that was the end of grade 12. So I didn't build my portfolio in a way that could fit anything else. It was just psychology. And going back to my grandparents, you build your path in the way that will lead to your end goal. If you want to be something else, you have to build your path yourself. You don't just take things by coincidence. And that's how we were raised. So my portfolio was entirely built towards psychology. And when that failed, it felt like everything in my control was not anymore in my control. I didn't know what to do. So I said, I'll take the year off. In the Arab world, that's not an option.
Oh, really?
That is not an option. Maybe in some families it is. In our family, no. You're always running. You're always on your feet until you retire and then you rest. So my parents, they started stressing. They started pushing and, make a decision. And I couldn't make any decisions. And my sister was on her last year, maybe. She was a senior at the time. She did film production and she was working on her capstone project and she needed help, just on set kind of help. And she's like, do you want to join? I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? It's not like I'm doing anything. And then
just to make a decision.
Actually, I don't think she did it on purpose, but if she did, wow. I was on set and there was so much happening at the same time. So many people, so many decisions, so many fast decisions. It was very active and I loved it very much. So we went back home and I was like, and again, every night, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So I told my mom, fine, I'll just enroll in what my sister's doing. That summer, everyone traveled and my mother and I just sat there for the applications. And it was very stressful because the thing I chose only accepts 30 students per year. I had to interview with the dean of the school in order to be accepted and enrolled. I was supposed to discuss a celebrity or a name figure. There was a TV show host. His name is Shaqeri. What he does is he travels the world, listens and understands and speaks to different cultures, understand what they're doing and why is it working for them. And then he translates this into how in our religion, this is the culture that's supposed to be, and these people are doing it not necessarily because of religion, but it's working for them in X, Y, and Z ways. And I felt like this was the person I wanted to talk about because A, he's doing good. B, he does not have to preach about, religion in a specific manner, but he is religious, but he knows that the actions are the important thing, not necessarily the religion. So you can do the same things and follow a different belief. And to me, that was very important because you were at a time where you're like, does everything need to be about religion? And then later on, you're like very doubtful. And then, so you're able to understand and separate between the good things, regardless to the intentions. And then if you're ready for it, you add that layer. But good is good, regardless what your agenda is. So that was the interview.
How did you feel?
It was very stressful, but it was also, I was comfortable. It was a stressful situation because I didn't apply anywhere else. And if
First
it didn't go through, if it didn't, I didn't apply anywhere else for uni. This was the only thing I applied for. So if this fails, I have basically nowhere to go. And then it wouldn't be a sabbatical because it wouldn't be on purpose. I would have failed before even starting, and failing was not an option. So that part was stressful, but the interview itself was comfortable. I did my research. From someone who was interested in psychology, I get to read people somehow. I understand how to read people from an early stage. That was not something learned. It was probably just a gift or something. But I was able to read what he was like. So from that part, it was comfortable. It was assuring because you already kind of know the person you are going to sit with. The interview itself was okay. It was comfortable. He was a very, very nice person. He was in a good mood, and that was amazing. That was lucky for me. And it ended up very well. I think a week later, we got the letter or email, don't remember, that I was accepted, celebrated, yay, happy us.
Your first
and then
offer.
We started. It was my first acceptance.
Yeah.
And I started university. Beautiful days of my life. I love it.
Interesting. Toqa, please tell me about your sister, because you, let's say, followed her road.
It's funny that we actually weren't friends for a very, very long time as children. We weren't intertwined as we are today. We weren't very close. Her interests were different. My interests were very, very different. She was always behind her book reading, and and there wasn't really a relationship. But then at some point I realized that she has my back always. Throughout school, we didn't have any communication. And then there was this one incident in my school graduation. We were graduating, and the ceremony was going to be held in the university that we went to, my sister and I. And in the rehearsal, we're all lined up, and my sister is standing behind us. So I didn't see her. And then there was this teacher who was supposed to, is chaperoning us throughout the rehearsal. She has nothing to do. She's not supposed to say anything or do anything. But then she comes, and then she kind of bullied me. I turned to the teacher, and before I get a chance to even open my mouth, my sister is standing in the back and with the head of security of the university. So she looks at her, she tilts her head, and she looks at King, the head of security, and she goes like, she laid hands on my sister. And he was very tall. She laid hands on my sister. And then he looks at her, he goes like, she laid hands on your sister. And then the security came, lifted her, picked her up. Basically, she was hovering off the ground, and they kicked her out of university. She's not allowed to enter university again. And then my sister looks at me, she's like, I feel like it's not enough. Then she goes to my school the next day. She's like, if this person is not fired, I'm taking this to the police and the KHDA, and you're in deep trouble. And then I was like, wow.
Wow, yeah,
And
she supported you in this way,
she supported me.
Yeah.
She took my back. She had my back. Even when she knew I didn't necessarily need it at that moment. I was probably going to do my thing and get my rights on track. But It was a moment of realization for me, because the fact that she was there and made sure to lift me up and made sure no one could humiliate me in any way was a very strong connection point for us. And then moving on in our life, we had that expectation of each other. We are always going to be each other's backbone. We will always be there no matter what. Even if you think you don't need it, I need to be there and you need to be there.
I do understand you, because I also have the young sister. And, when you was describing all this situation, all this scene, I felt that I am on the place of your sister, because I always try to protect my young sister. And it seems to me that I feel exactly the feelings that Maha, your sister, felt at that time. Because we are, old sisters. I do know what does it mean.
I think it's something in your blood and your genes, but I think what made it more special is that it wasn't expected.
Yeah, I see. And let's start to discuss your career.
My plans were to become a video editor, a corporate video editor, and then maybe a documentary video editor, and then into film. That was the plan. That was the structure of it. So I was going to be video editor till the day I retired. So when I started as a video editor in that production house, it was just a production house. There was no marketing in it. And then in one of the accounts that I was managing, we were supposed to wait for a press release and then create the video edit based on that. But this press release was of a sheikh's visit, and the press release was late. And with these corporate, very sensitive edits, time is very important. So I was on set. I saw the whole thing. I knew what was happening. And I turned to my manager and I was like, I'm writing that press release. He's like, it's not going anywhere. I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm going to write the press release, create the video, send it as a draft, and then we'll see what happens from there. And then I did that, and they took the press release and they took the video, and I saved the time, and no one was in trouble. So that was an incident that made me feel like, okay, I can do a lot more than video editing. And then the second incident was, every time I created these videos, they were taken on different platforms for different purposes and different times. So that was very interesting for me. And I went to the account holder and I was like, how do you make these decisions? What's happening? What is it? And they walked me through the whole process of their marketing strategy, and they explained a little bit here and there. And that was it for me. It was just that one conversation, and I was like, I am a marketeer. So I went back to the office, and me being me, I wanted them to start a whole department for me. And I told him, I was like, can we please start having marketing? And he was
like usual.
Yeah, of course.
Like this.
Can you build a department for me?
So you realized that you need a real marketing department, and you didn't have any fear just to come to your boss and suggest it. How do you think? Why did he support you?
The answer to this question is what I always use to explain to people how a healthy work environment and a toxic work environment is. That was one of the healthiest work environments that I was in. My manager was also the owner of the production house. He was someone who was super invested in the people. He made sure to know that you're comfortable. He would have these one-on-ones with you. How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is work? Do you want something? Do you need something? Is everything okay? So he basically grounded the work environment in a way where you cannot be shy, you cannot be embarrassed, you cannot be worried or scared or hesitant about what you want to say. No idea was discarded. It was a very healthy space. Even if your solution or your ideas weren't taken at the time, it was this kind of space where this idea is going to generate a different idea that is going to be used. So anything you say is useful. I remember I didn't even think about, hey, should I ask him? Should I not? I went directly from their office to our office and I was like, hey, Omar, open this department for me.
Yeah. I think it's very important to have this environment and to be sure that you will be supported. We also try to support this culture, this environment in Fortis, where everyone can come to the boss or to HR, to any department, and to suggest something very useful for company or something that is interesting for him or for her. Yeah, but I know that you left the company because now you are working with us. So what did you feel? Why did you decided to leave the company?
It was one of the hardest things, to be very honest.
Yeah, because your boss supported you and
Yes.
he opened this new
Yes,
marketing
and
department.
they were a very, very, very empowering team, men and women. We were a team who lifted each other up. We had each other's backs, which later on I realized is very rare in the work space. It's not a very common thing. Like, you're lucky to have that. I didn't know. I was lucky that I was living in that till later on when I had my next job. So it was very hard. It was heartbreaking to a point where I had 3 days in bed, sad, crying with a broken heart. And my family would come check in on me and tell me it's okay, you did the right thing. Because when you know this is not the career that you're going to stick with, it's not okay to stay just because it's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
It was a comfort zone. It was a beautiful comfort zone. But your career is not your comfort zone. If this space is not allowing your growth in the direction that you are meant to grow in, then it's not the place for you, sadly and unfortunately.
Yeah, for me, the career is always something about challenge. So, what was your next step?
After I left, 15 days in, Corona hit. To everybody, Corona was a waste of time. It was a lot of people lost their jobs. I'm very sorry about that. But for me, it was an opportunity because right around the same time, huge universities around the world launched a lot of programs and a lot of courses online that was almost for free. So I went online and I think I enrolled in every course that had to do with marketing, in psychology, and intertwined in psychology and sales. So I did that. The second they opened up the country, I went and I registered for a company.
Your own company?
My own company. At the time, I was working as a freelancer. I already had customers, a lot of customers. They were growing, just word of mouth. I needed to have someone to help me out with everything. And I was giving out invoices as a freelancer. And in Dubai, you have to have a license to be a freelancer. There was just this, very sensitive worry that, okay, what I'm doing might not be legal. So I registered for an agency. So it was only me. And then a little bit later, I had 2 other people who would do the creative work. And my job was mostly to acquire the customer, understand what they need, understand what they're doing, and then create the strategic plan for them, and then have the team execute it. And then we grew more and more and more. I realized that I'm all over the fields. Like we're doing everything. We're doing beauty. Yes. We're doing F&B. Yes. We're doing real estate. Yes. We're doing, I don't know what. Yes. Which was amazing because with every new client, you have another learning opportunity. There's a whole layer of research that you have to go through and so on. And then till I was connected with with someone who owns a large chain of restaurants around the UAE. There are like 9 branches, and he wanted to build his in-house team. So he hired me full time, and then I had to transition. I have a team, I have clients, I need to take care of these people. What am I going to do? And I realized I actually do love the focused one field, one system.
I wanted to ask you about the differences between 2 types of work, freelancer and full-time work.
They have different layers of stress or the different layers of joy. So when you have a full-time, the challenges of starting a new project that you did not do before. When you're a freelancer, the stress included with stress of what ifs. There are a lot of what ifs when you're a freelancer, when you're not sure of what's happening next.
And about your future also, yeah?
And about your future, 100%. You know for a fact, there's no freelancer ever who would ever argue that they can do this forever. It's not a forever thing. It is a transition between something, exploring, and then your actual plan. So it's a calculated risk where you go like, okay, now I'm here, I want to be there, let me try this. And then you become a freelancer and do that thing. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, you might make changes, you might change the whole thing. But no freelancer can be a freelancer forever. I don't think it's the career path to reach a very strong ground.
And my another question is regarding the toxic and healthy environment. For us, it's important to have this healthy environment because we think and we are sure that if we have the healthy environment, our people will be happy. If our people will be happy, they will be very effective. If they will be effective, the company will be successful. That is true. And this is not just a word for Fortis, for a company, for owners, for HR, for example, because for us, it's the most important things. Who is the person? I mean, as a human being.
Actually, you know, on my first interview in Fortis, the second I closed my laptop, I looked at my family. I went to their room. I looked at them. I was like, she asked me about me. Me. She asked me about me.
Yeah,
it was
that's
Melanie,
true.
I think.
Yeah,
I was like,
interesting.
she cared about
so
me.
fascinating. And what was the question? It was HR, right?
HR, yes.
Okay.
She asked me, what do you like? What do you want to do in your free time? She was like, not the cliche questions like, what's your hobbies? She's like, what do you do when you have time on your hands? How do you like to spend your time not working? And then she asked me, what do you like to work out? And we spoke a little bit about working out because we had something in common.
Yeah.
That was the first interaction between myself and Fortis as an entity, because you don't separate the company from the first person who's speaking with you. And we had like a full, maybe even 10 minutes out of the interview. Just, she made me feel like, I want to know you first, and then let's see how we can intertwine you with the company, which felt very included. It felt like I am the important person here, not what I am here to give.
Yeah.
And then when you put someone in that mindset, automatically they become more giving and they want to do more because someone gave me a little bit, and now you will feel like I don't like using the word family in workspace, and I get that from my sister.
Yeah.
It's not a family because sometimes families, they leave, they expect more from one end more than the other. It's more like a balanced equation. It's a balanced chemical equation when if one part goes wrong, the whole product is affected. And then now I can tell you about the difference between healthy and toxic. So in a toxic environment, it's not necessarily that, the rules are strict or the people are not fun. It's the fact that they are inconsiderate of what you think or feel. So you can have a great idea, and the idea is for your business's sake. At the end of the day, an employee is an employee. If you put them in a toxic environment, they are very prone to, you know what? Fine, let it go. You don't want it, you don't want it. It's very easy to lose the passion. It's very easy to lose the wanting to give, wanting to do more when the others or when the management does not allow you to express how you see this agency or company or chain move forward. So when you come in with an idea and the purpose of it is to make things better, is either to become more efficient or a different type of entertainment or. And you get shut down without an explanation, because in the beginning you would ask for the full plan, right? Everyone does that, toxic or healthy. Okay, fine, you have an idea, give me a plan. So you sit, you spend time, you waste, because eventually it's a waste of not only my time, but also the company's time, because that time I took to make that plan is out of your time. I could have been doing something else. So you make a plan, you put the effort, and then it gets shut down. Now, I don't take these things lightly. We cannot shut down a plan without communicating further, because if it's a financial obstacle, I can very easily work around it. We can replace some things. If it's a protocol issue, then you can also change things around. So not allowing people to grow in their own skin when they are asking to grow is a very shattering thing for the soul. And people who stick in with toxic environments, and a lot of people do stick because they have other kinds of responsibilities, different types of risks. They haven't succeeded enough in their career to move out, and they didn't have the confidence to do so. It destroys them. You can still find out people who have trauma from toxic environments with the questions they asked. I asked in my interview, I asked them, how do you measure the culture? How do you describe the environment people are working in? Would you say people are happy at all, like all the time? The overall, would you say yes, they are happy, or would you say they're not happy? If you say they're not happy, what are you doing to fix that? Or why are they not happy? Are they not happy because they're tired? Are they not happy because there's too much work? If people are not happy because there's too much work or the work is stressful, that's fine. That does not make a workplace toxic. It makes it challenging. It makes you drive more and want to manage your time more efficiently. It makes you want to fix some things in your skills, but it doesn't make it a toxic environment. Too much work, the stress of work does not qualify a job as toxic. What qualifies a job as toxic is what comes after all this work, all this energy, all this effort, because everyone, no matter what your job is, you think and you feel like you put too much effort. This specific business was not the healthiest. It was very, very draining, to the point where for a few months, I couldn't digest solid food. I would wake up not wanting to leave bed. It was a very, very harsh and toxic and draining experience for me. And that was when I realized that, no, I love the full-time. I love the discipline. I love the focus. I hate the work ethics. I hate the work environment. It was a very, very tough experience for me till the last minute. I wanted to take a 10 days leave because my brother was getting married in Egypt and I wanted to attend the whole thing. It was not even approved for me, or he did not even pass even 5 days of the 10, which to me, family, there are things that, you cannot cross a certain line. And I decided that was the end of it. I was done right there and then. I went, I detoxed a little bit. I traveled to a few places. I saw a lot of greenery, took in a lot of oxygen and just took my breath. And then it wasn't long after I finished my notice where I was contacted by Fortis, and then I'm back in a healthy environment.
I'm happy that you're with us.
Me too. My sister was in tech for a very long time, for the longest time. She worked in all the tech places in Dubai. Not all of them. She's not that old. But she worked in big names in tech, and she would always sit with her friends or with family, and she would always speak tech. And I remember one time I looked at her, I was like, you know what? One day I'm going to be working in tech as well, and I will be initiating all of these conversations. And then when I started with Fortis, I was like, A, healthy. B, tech. C, now let's talk about tech. So so now I start the conversations, which is exciting.
Okay, Toqa, thank you so much for joining this interview, this conversation, like in the kitchen. It was, as usual, very interesting and very, energetical one. So, thank you so much, and see you in the office.
See you in the office on Monday.
Yeah. Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. It was Everything is Personal by Fortis Digital Solutions, a company that bridged the gap between businesses and their digital-savvy customers. We help businesses thrive in the digital world, turning their dreams into reality. Fortis commits to supporting and evolving alongside entrepreneurship in the MENA region. Interested in joining our team? Subscribe to our LinkedIn page at Fortis Digital Solutions. The link is in the episode description. This podcast is produced by Ep3. Executive producer Alexandra Volkova, producer Daria Sannikova, editor Livia Stivo, sound engineer Mikhail Vasilyev, composer Ksenia Kazantseva, cover illustrator Brian Sang, and I'm your host Victoria Belousova. For more episodes and updates, subscribe to Everything is Personal on your favorite platform. Thank you for listening.